Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome to a new episode of Arduino EDUvision Season 4, episode number 6.
Why? Wow, already six.
Yep.
That's fast.
And today we talk about the biggest failures and try to demystify machine learning.
Yeah, this will be super fun and interesting too.
Yes, I'm Melissa,
I'm Roxana.
and we're from Arduino Education.
Yes.
But who are you and how are you?
Yes, and remember that now we're live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Crowdcast. So show us some love and hit the thumbs button if you are watching this from YouTube, heart if you are watching from Facebook, and the light bulb on LinkedIn. So don't forget to do that.
Yeah, and you can also use the chat on Crowdcast.
Exactly.
And tell us in the chat. All of these different platforms, they have the chat. So you can tell us where you're from, who you are. Are you an educator, student?
Exactly.
Have you created some Arduino projects? Let us know.
Yeah, we already have some comments
Oui,
that people joining from Canada, Mexico, Bangladesh. So
nice.
cool.
All over the world.
Yes.
You can also put what time is it.
Yeah, for sure.
For us, it's 5 p.m. Central European Summertime, but
Exactly.
what is it? Where are you coming from?
Are you living in the past or in the future?
Oh, true.
Yeah, let us know. So, as we mentioned at the beginning, we will talk about machine learning and tiny machine learning with our special guest from Google.
And we will also have a very interesting conversation about how failure is essential to success. As on October 13th, we celebrate International Failure Day.
Exactly.
And we have a very cool project, actually, two projects, Astrowand and a air drummer. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Very cool projects. And remember that we have a dedicated website where you can read articles, watch tutorials, and the previous EDUvision seasons.
Yeah.
Everything is there.
Exactly. And I can show we also have our EduVision podcast. So now we have already 6 episodes published.
Cool.
They're available on Spotify. You can find all the different audio platforms from Anchor. And now, today, we're also on Apple.
Yay, finally!
Yay! It took some time, but
Exactly.
we're there. So if you prefer to listen your podcast from Apple, you can do
Yeah.
it now.
Now you can find us everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for not listening to our podcast.
Exactly. And if you have already listened some of the episode, please give us a review. Tell us what you like. Who would you like to have as our guest? Is there someone that you would like to hear more from?
Exactly. So we have people from the Netherlands, Holland, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, just like us.
I can see there's someone from Finland.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it's here. Tan, tan, tan.
Nice.
Hi, thanks for joining. So we have Lucas from Argentina.
Ooh,
Yes. And also we have Konstantinos from Greece. So
cool.
thank you so much for joining, guys. So keep telling us from where you are during the whole show.
Yeah.
But let's start today discussing about failure, right? So International Day for Failure is a day when people think about, share with others about and learn what their failures. It is a day to celebrate your failures and look at them as learning experiences to help achieve success.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure all of us have failed at some point
For
of their
sure.
life. But what about you guys? Would you like to share what is your biggest failure? Or it doesn't have to be biggest failure, but something that you really learned from that fail or something that you will remember forever.
Exactly.
And you can share your failures in the chat. We will present and bring the banners
Yeah.
after the interview. We're gonna show some of your failures, but also we can share something that we
Exactly.
have failed at. Oh, I can start. For example, I have a one fail from Beth. If you know
Good show.
the education conference that we have in London every year. So a few years ago, we were at Beth, and we had a prototype, Arduino board prototype with us. So it was not really functional, but we were planning to showcase it, and we managed to burn a couple of computers or the USB ports with that prototype. The bad thing with that was that I was supposed to edit videos during Beth while we were in London, and I couldn't get a new computer, so I couldn't hear anything. It also burnt my sound card, so then I always had to edit with one
Exactly.
computer and listen to the material with another computer. But from that failure, I learned how to lip read. I didn't have to hear everything.
Yeah.
I learned also how to edit with watching the sound waves. So without hearing it, where I should edit. And of course, we learned that maybe you shouldn't prototype when you're not at the office.
Exactly. So especially when you are like starting with electronics programming, it's very common that you make many mistakes, but also that's the way to learn.
Yeah.
So it's good. So we want to ask you, we have a little quiz for you. So I need you guys to go to menti.com there and enter that code. So you can do it from your computers, or also you can take your phones and do that. So I'm going to share with you the poll. So I need you to go there to menti.com and enter that code.
Actually, I can see that our banner has a different code, so don't look at the banner. Look at the code that is on
Yes,
the screen that Roxy is sharing.
Exactly. 38762705.
Yes.
So we need you to come here to the Mentimeter because we want to ask you some questions. So as you can see, it's waiting for players. I'm waiting for you guys to join. So, okay, someone is joining. So write like a username. They will ask you to write a username. So this is a competition. So it's one question and you need to be the fastest, right? So keep joining. Come on. Only 3. I cannot believe that. So we need more people to play. So go to menti.com and enter the code there that you can see on the screen, 38762705. Okay, now we have 4. Cool. Or I mean, like, for sure there are so many people watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, Crowdcast. So come on, join. 7. Okay, great. We're having more people.
More, and then we get.
Exactly.
I can already see that there are people sharing their failures in the chat. Keep on doing that while we wait for people.
Yeah, exactly.
There's, for example, saying my first original Arduino Uno board, and I'm still collecting on my wall. But that's a nice one.
Yeah,
you can still keep it. Like, this is the first project.
Awesome. So I think we can start. So we have people there. So let's go. Let's go. Oh, nay, what happened?
This is a big fail.
This is the failure
Rox is
day.
now live showing you how she's failing.
Okay, now. Okay, are you ready? Who said? A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. Who said that? It was Bill Gates. It was Bruce Lee, Albert Einstein, or Thomas Alva Edison. Who said that? A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. What do you think? Vote, vote. Let's see. Chan, 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 chan.
And we have a winner.
Anna. Nice.
Anna was the
fastest.
Fastest to know the right answer.
Cool.
And what is the right answer?
The right answer was Albert Einstein. He once that says that anyone that never had tried, made mistakes, never tried anything. So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And it's all right what Albert Einstein was saying.
Yes.
So you need to try new things, and it's okay if you make mistakes. The point is that you never stop trying.
Exactly. Then we have another failure that we would like to share from Arduino.
Yes. Exactly. So we have another story from our very own David Cuartielles, Arduino co-founder. We asked him about a time when things didn't go very well. And he told us about a light installation in Jakarta like 10 years ago. And this installation required over 15,200 LEDs in 3,018 groups and adding up to almost 2,000 Chinese lanterns, 40 Arduino megaboards, a specially designed shield to handle communications, and a lot of manual work.
Yeah, and the goal of this project was to light up the last part of a marathon. So as runners passed by, the LEDs would turn on and kind of react to when they detect a person. Yeah.
So unfortunately, the rain they couldn't they couldn't run the marathon during the night, so they had to run it during the day, and no one could see the installation. So, but let's take a look to the video so you can see the project.
So as you can see, it would have been really beautiful to end the marathon with
Yeah.
that kind of, but no one thought about what is it if it's during the daytime and there's all
Yeah.
all the sun. So actually, we're
Awesome
not gonna see it.
project. Yeah, and David was mentioning that when these big kind of projects, you need to plan like with a lot of time. So it was very hard to predict the weather from that longer time. But it was a really cool project, and even it was successful in the building and everything, you couldn't show it. So he said that was a huge failure because people couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So it's not merely the act of failing that leads to a career success. It's failing and then getting back up and trying again and trying again. Come back from failure teaches also resilience. And resilience is one quality all successful people have in common.
Yeah. So remember to keep on trying and even inspire others.
Exactly.
And there have been many other examples, people who have failed at first and later become successful life, or as our special guest, Pete Warden. So Pete Warden from Google, from a rough start in the video game industry to becoming a published author, entrepreneur, a senior engineer at Apple, and now he's currently the technical lead of the TensorFlow Micro team at Google.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. We had a conversation with Pete about his role at Google.
Yep.
And about machine learning.
And tiny machine learning.
Yes.
Let's take a look.
So we can welcome Pete Warden, a technical lead at Google.
So Pete, we were looking at your blog, and we found that you have on the header a quote by Samuel Beckett that reads, "Ever tried, ever fail, no matter, try again, fail better." Could you tell us more about what this quote means to you and what do you think about failure?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a little tricky to talk about sometimes because I'm now, a well-paid sort of, Google engineer, and so it's pretty easy for me to say, oh, just don't worry about failure, just keep trying stuff. It would have been a lot harder when I was working kind of stacking shelves at QuickSave and, living with a lot less kind of margin for error. But the big thing that I've found is oftentimes the projects that actually crashed and burned are the ones where I actually learned the most about, what I should be doing to make things work, and actually trying to figure out ways where you can test an idea as quickly as possible. And, actually getting to failure is a lot better than having something that's just kind of sits in a closet for, months or years and never actually gets tested. At the heart of it is I'm trying to get students to understand that for all of us, we're actually figuring stuff out as we go along. And they shouldn't feel bad if they can't get something working or if they're struggling with something, because there's nobody out there who it comes like completely naturally to. The people who seem to do things like, seamlessly with, never hitting a hitch, they're just much better at hiding the the mistakes. So that's
Yeah. And it's something you mentioned already, like you've learned maybe most from your biggest failures. Is there some example that you could share with us?
Well, going back to games, I worked on a game called Formula 1 98. And it was the successor to Formula 1 97, which was a really, really good game, really successful. But Formula 1 98, we only had something like 9 months to do it in. We were a new team. We decided to write it from scratch. And I think it's still out on Wikipedia as like one of the worst reviewed games. It really, we had things like they put on the back of the box that there was going to be pit crew, and this was on back on a PlayStation 1, and we only like realized that right towards the end of development. And we had no sort of like polygon budget. So we have these sort of things that look like, they're like 5 polygons literally kind of like picking up these like wheels that are square because we didn't have any polygons for the tires, and like putting them on, and they've got like 2 frames of animation, and it's just this whole but because we were so pressed for time, I actually ended up having to do all sorts of different like I was a very junior programmer then, but I ended up just being handed all of this stuff to work on, and I just had to sort of figure it out as we went along. And I got to see, I got to make a lot of mistakes and see, oh, that's why you don't do that.
Exactly. Is there any people, book, resources that have been particularly influential for you?
So one that was really inspiration for me when I first joined Google back in 2014 was I met the team behind and I'm not going to say the full phrase because it might trigger people's Android phones, but internally we call it OKG in meetings, the wake word that you use to sort of start the voice interface. And I was chatting to Raziel Alvarez, who was at Google at the time. He's now at Facebook. And he did a lot of the work around the machine learning model that runs on everybody's phone to actually listen out for that phrase. And what blew my mind was it was 13 kilobytes in size. And it was running on it runs on a whole range of tiny little DSPs. And, at the time I was feeling pretty happy because I'd managed to get a model running on a mobile phone on the application processor in like 3 megabytes. So the fact that there was a really useful, kind of an essential part of the phone that was using machine learning, was using deep learning, and was actually able to do something useful in just 13 kilobytes, that just blew my mind and really stuck with me and got me thinking about, okay, what other problems can we solve with models that are really small, that are able to run on these kind of tiny, low power devices?
We hear now like machine learning everywhere. Machine learning is training algorithms, but what is machine learning and what it is used for? What kind of problems we can solve with machine learning?
So one thing, the first thing I'd say is that there's a few different flavors of machine learning. One of them is really good for structured data, so often using things like random forest. And if you have signals that are very clean, like a temperature signal or some other sort of sensor that's giving a very sort of, straightforward, sort of understandable reading, or something that you might have in like a spreadsheet, running traditional machine learning is usually pretty good for those problems. And that's not what TensorFlow Lite Micro focuses on, or what TensorFlow focuses on. What TensorFlow focuses on is more around deep learning, which is sort of a branch of machine learning that really started to become prominent sort of in the last decade or so. And what that's really good for is it's great at taking really noisy signals and finding patterns in them.
And you talk about these topics on your book that was published last year, called Tiny Machine Learning with TensorFlow Lite on Arduino and ultra-low power microcontrollers with Daniel Sitanayaki. This book is ideal for students and for software and hardware developers who want to build embedded systems using machine learning. It walks readers through creating a series of tiny machine learning projects. But what is then tiny machine learning? We talked about machine learning, but is that something different?
So tiny machine learning is this idea that you can do something useful in just a few tens of kilobytes in a very small amount of memory and with a very small amount of compute. And what follows from that is that you can then actually have these devices that are out there, potentially recognizing a speech with like a voice interface, or recognizing when there's a person nearby, or maybe they're recognizing that there's wildlife nearby or crop pest nearby using a camera, or recognizing that a package has been sort of shaken and damaged because the accelerometer has picked this up. And you can have these devices actually running on a battery or energy harvesting using solar for months or years, because you've managed to get this running on these super low power, low cost devices.
And you shared with us a site for TensorFlow Lite for microcontrollers, and there are some projects. Would you like to explain some of the project, or tell us more about this site?
Yeah, so it's a Google I/O set of experiments that I worked with the Creative Labs team within Google to do. And what they're trying to do there is actually make the process of playing around with machine learning on an Arduino even easier by using web pages and JavaScript to actually communicate with the Arduino Nano and actually send models over from a web page, and then have a web page that responds to, for example, you doing kind of like drumming gestures. Or you can also actually train your own model on the web page to actually recognize your own gestures as well. And all of this is without having to do a line of programming. So it's really, I think I talked about, towards the start, I really want to see this kind of machine learning be a lot more accessible and people get a lot more comfortable. So my goal was, and what we managed to put together was this idea that without even having to open up an IDE or plug in a board, you could actually use a machine learning model on an Arduino and then train your own machine learning model and kind of get that experience and get kind of past that barrier of, oh, I've never done any machine learning. It's like, well, guess what? After, half an hour of playing around with this, you've actually trained your own model. And then you can start diving in deeper because it's all open source code. It's all sort of running on the Arduino. You can like fire up the IDE and start looking at what it's actually doing under the hood. start experimenting and changing, but hopefully you're starting from a place where you've actually got some confidence.
So, and any resources or other recommendations for our audience?
Yes. So I think we mentioned I've I've got a book out there, the TinyML book. There's actually also a free course based on a course that me and a colleague, VJ, actually taught at Harvard last year. And there's a free edX course that you can take. You can pay if you want to get a certificate out of it, but if you just want to take the course itself, it is free. I'll share the link for that as well. And I highly recommend giving that a try if you want to sort of dip your toes into this area.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for
No,
joining, and thank you for the time. It was really fun.
no, thank you for having me. It's been really interesting.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to see more of your projects. Thank you, Pete Warden. If you want to know more about Pete's work and hear more about his thoughts about machine learning and tiny machine learning and failing, you can listen to our podcast.
Exactly.
And also, if you go to EDUvision, on our EDUvision site, you can find the article "Learning to Fail for Future Success" with expert engineer Pete Warden.
Yes. Go and take a look at the interview. It's very short. And also, if remember that you can share your project with us. I was reading on the chat that Akil wants to share his project. So, like Akil, you can also share yours. So don't forget to do that. And it's very easy to do. You just need to our website, like on the banner, and submit your project, and maybe you can be on the show, and you can get cool Arduino goodies.
Yes. So this week we won't have any project, but we can share some of the failures from the chat. Or there were a lot of conversation. We already shared some of them during the interview also, but there were a lot of others also who have failed. It's nice to know it's not just us.
Especially when soldering.
Yes. Yeah, Alexander, for example, said that he learned to solder better from his by his failures. So.
Exactly. And also remember to listen to all the whole Pete interview. It's really inspiring how someone like him, like starting, we said, a rough, starting very hard in the game industry. Now he's working at Google. So
exactly.
So just keep trying.
Yeah.
And you will be there.
Yeah. You will be there where you want to be in there.
Exactly.
But it's time for our project.
Yes.
So as we saw on the interview, Pete was talking about the site that they have of TensorFlow microcontrollers, hard word for me. And we have Anton, who has built 2 of the projects from that site and would like to present it. So
yes,
if we bring Anton, I'll give my mic.
Hello, Anton. Welcome.
Hello, you guys. Yeah, we thought that the projects made by Google were so cool, so we just had to show them, really. So we could not show it, so to say. So yeah, let's see what we can do with the site. So what we prepared here is the drum kit, or the drum project, which is really cool. So if you have a Nano BLE Sense, then I think you should really try it. You just go on their site and download their Arduino sketch and connect to the browser with Bluetooth, and then essentially you're ready to go. It's really cool. So okay, if we can scroll down. So can you hear that?
Yes.
Nice. So I can jam here with my Arduino. It's really cool. And what's interesting is that this is just connected via Bluetooth, so you don't really have to hook it up to your computer either. It's really cool. It's hooked up to Melissa's computer, yes.
So much fun. So cool.
Imagine what else you can do with machine learning, right?
Exactly.
So, and then we can take a look at the other project, which is also really nice.
You were very productive this time, Anton.
I know. I was so productive. No, but yeah, I found the experiment with Google, and I was
Yes.
blown away by the
For
site
sure.
and how they present everything. So I was like, yeah, we need to show this.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah. So let's see if I can draw some shapes here. I have.
Yay.
Oh, right. I have another. Really. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Come on. Okay, a triangle then. Square. No. I mean, this is the fail episode, right?
Of course, we need to fail.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, it's been trained to recognize the gestures via the accelerometer, so it's really, really cool. And then the third project is it's not a project, but we just wanted to show you anyway. Because, yeah, like Pete said, you can go on their website and essentially train your BLE sensor, whatever you want. You can train your Arduino, use the accelerometer to get your own models, and then you can create your own projects like this.
Exactly.
And that's really cool. Let's see
Yeah,
if we can
so-
pull it up.
Yeah, that's a TensorFlow Lite for microcontrollers.
Yeah, and if you press the tiny motion trainer there, it's essentially just plug and play. It's super. Oh, it died.
Yeah, it's very simple to try these projects because, as Anton was mentioning, you only need like a board, and that's it. You train your board and build or train the model, and then you can do very cool stuff like Anton just showed
Yeah,
us.
and it will generate a Arduino sketch for you, so you can apply the logic there with the model you created.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
So
that's
it was very cool.
yeah, that's what we wanted to show.
Yeah, exactly. So remember to go there and try. The instructions are there, super easy, straightforward. So if you build something, please share it with us. We
Absolutely.
would love to see what are you doing with starting with machine learning, right? It's very,
Yeah,
it's very
go
easy to
crazy
start.
with machine learning.
Exactly. So then this week we have a discount code for Explore IoT Kit. It's 15% off until this week, Sunday, 17th of October, and you can see the discount there when you visit our digital store. Right?
Nice. All right, thank you guys for me.
Thank
having
you,
me.
Anton.
Thank you. Yeah, and as you saw, you can use the BLE board, or then you can do some other projects with the Explore IT kit, for example.
Exactly. So you just need your board, remember, and start. And if you don't make it the first try, keep trying, because it's very cool what you can achieve if you just persistent and keep trying. Never
Yeah.
forget that.
Exactly. And this one, you don't even have to know how to code. So
Exactly.
it's easy to get
Even
started.
better.
And from that, you can start then creating training your own models and start coding.
Exactly, for sure. So I think that's it for today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining. And remember, next week on October 21st at 5 p.m. Central European Time, same time, we will talk about the United Nations Development Goals and how technologies like IoT and AI can help meet these goals with our guest, Marco Senaro.
Yeah, and we have 2 weeks to Halloween, so if you have any Halloween projects, finalize them and share the videos with us on the EDUvision
Exactly.
site.
Don't forget to do that. And thank you so much for joining today. It was awesome, and we will see you all next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.